Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to day 4 of the functions unit. Today we are talking about slope-intercept form. So in the last lesson, we were looking at slope and how to determine the slope. Now we're going to introduce something called the y-intercept and slope-intercept form. All right, and so in today's lesson, you're going to be able to identify what the slope and the y-intercept is when you are giving a graph. And then you're also going to be able to write an equation in slope-intercept form when you are given the information, as well as being able to graph these on a coordinate plane. So a lot to cover in today's lesson, but it all connects together really well. So let's dive into just a couple definitions and terms that you will need. Okay, and so when I say slope-intercept form, another way of saying this is called y equals mx plus b. And so last time we defined what the m was, that is the slope. And so here are some terms that you need to know. The y is always referring to the y value. Okay, so that is the y value. That is another name or way you may hear the y value referred to is the output or the dependent variable. Okay, so the y value stands for, or the y stands for the y value. The m stands for the slope. Okay, and again, we defined that last time. We're going to continue using the slope today. Next is the x, which is the x value. Again, we've been doing functions being x and y's, input, output. Again, this is all connected. So the x is that x value. Another name for the x value is the input or the independent variable, which again, we're going to talk more about this later in the unit. And then lastly, the b is the y-intercept. Okay, and that is the term that is new for today. But the y-intercept, what that means is where it crosses on the y-axis. Okay, and so if we will remember, the y-axis goes up and down. Wherever it crosses on the y-axis is the y-intercept. Another way to remember that is this is where the x value is 0 when we think about our ordered pairs or our coordinate planes. So wherever the 0 is, the x is 0, and whatever the y is, that is what gives me the y-intercept. Okay, and so again, we're going to see this on the coordinate plane in just a minute, but it is going to be important that you know that. Again, this is slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. Y equals mx plus b. All right. Now, so in this first part of the lesson, we are just going to simply, we're given what the slope is and what the y-intercept is, and all we're going to do is write that equation using y equals mx plus b to write an equation for that function. Okay, and so in example number 1, again, for each of these, we are writing an equation of a linear function given the information that we have. All right, so if the slope is 2 and the y-intercept is -1, okay, so to write an equation, it is y equals, the slope is m, okay, that is the slope, so the slope is 2, so actually, you know what, let me show you this. Again, we're always using y equals mx plus b, okay, so again, don't know what the y is, the slope is the m, which is 2, x, and then I'm taking the y-intercept, which is the b, okay, and this says plus b, but because the y-intercept is a negative, it's just going to be -1, okay, so this right here is my equation in slope-intercept form for that function given this information. Okay, so let's look at a second example. Okay, we have the slope. This time the slope is -2/3, and the y-intercept is 2, okay? And so I'm going to write an equation for this information. So it is going to be y equals, the m is the slope, okay? And so that is going to be the negative 2/3, all right? X, and then the y-intercept is the b. So the y-intercept is 2, so it is going to be plus 2. Okay, so that is again, the equation for that information. So again, what I want you to hear and see, the slope is always going to be the m in the equation. The y-intercept, that is the b part of the equation, and y equals mx plus b. All right, so hey, I want you to pause it, and I want you to do the next 2 examples to see if you can do them on your own. And then after you're done, see if you got them correct. All right, so for the 3rd example, the equation should have been, the slope is -3, so that is the m. The x, we don't know. And then the y-intercept is 5, so it should be plus 5. So y equals -3x plus 5 is the equation. All right. And then for the last one, we have the slope is -2. I'm sorry, -1/2 rather. -1/2. The y-intercept is -3. Okay. So the slope, that is the m. The y-intercept is the b. And y equals mx plus b. So y equals m -1/2 x, and this is the b, -3. And so these are, again, how we write an equation given the following information. So that is step 1. In some problems, you're going to be given what the slope and the y-intercept is, and you just need to be able to write it in slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. Okay, now what we're going to do now is we're actually going to take this information and we're going to actually put it onto a graph. All right, we're going to put it onto a graph. So what I've decided to do is to use the same problems from these on the next few practice problems. All right, so we have y equals 2x minus 1. Okay, in this I want you to identify what is the slope and then what is the y-intercept, because that is going to help me when I have to graph it. Okay, so again, y equals mx plus b. All right, so the slope in this one is 2. Okay, and then the y-intercept is -1. All right, so the slope is 2 because this is the m, which is the slope. The b, this is the b, and that is the y-intercept. Now, again, when I gave you the definition for what y-intercept is, I told you this is where the y-intercept is where it crosses on the y-axis, okay? So on my coordinate plane, this is my x-axis, this is my y-axis, okay? And the y-intercept is where it crosses this axis right here, okay? So in order to graph it, I like to start off by first graphing that y-intercept and then using that point to then figure out the other points on the graph. So let's look at that. So the y-intercept is -1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the origin. Then I'm going to go down to -1. And let me change my color. So that you can see this. All right. Okay, so I'm going to graph, start here, and I'm going, this is -1, okay, as the y-intercept. So that's my first dot goes there. And then the slope is 2. So what that means is I'm going to go, again, slope, remember, is rise over run, okay? So when it's 2 and there's no denominator, it really is just 2 over 1. So that means I'm going to rise 2 and then I'm going to run 1. Rise 2, run 1. So to figure out other points on my graph, I'm going to go up 2 over 1. and then that's a point. Then I'm going to go up 2 and then over 1. And then I'm going to go up 2 over 1. And this is how I determine what my graph is. Again, up 2 over 1. Okay? And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a line connecting these. And this goes on forever. Okay? And so that is how I take this equation and graph it. So I start by graphing the y-intercept and then figure out the other points based on the slope. All right, let's do another example. All right, so this next one, we got y equals negative 2/3 x plus 2. So for this one, what is the slope? Well, the slope is this part right here, the negative 2/3, okay, because that's the m, and y equals mx plus b. And then what is the y-intercept? Well, it's this, the plus 2. So the plus 2 is the y-intercept. So in order to graph this, I'm going to go to the y-intercept. I'm going to graph that first, which is the y-intercept is 2. Again, that is where it crosses on the y-axis. Okay, so I'm going to go up 2. Again, this is the y-intercept. It's where it crosses the y-axis. It crosses at 2. Okay. And then I'm going to use the slope to figure out the other points. Okay, now this one has a negative 2/3 slope. So instead of going up, because it's negative, I'm going to move downward first. Okay, so I'm starting here and I'm going to move down 2, 1, 2. Then I'm going to run to the right 3. Okay, so 1, 1, 2, over 3, 1, 2, 3. That's a point. Okay, go down 2, 1, 2, over 3, 1, 2, 3. And actually, I mean, I could, be showing you the loops, but just I'm counting down 1, 2, then over 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and so these are my points. So I can just connect these. Okay, and this is what gives me my graph. Okay, this is the graph. Again, I started by graphing the y-intercept and then use the slope to determine other points. Okay. All right, so here's what I want you to do now. I want you to pause it, and I want you to try to do the next 2 examples on your own. Again, this is best when you pause it. Attempt to do these on your own. If you need for me to walk through one more, you can watch it. But again, I want you to look at the previous 2 examples and see if you can't figure out how to do the next 2 on your own, and then watch me do the next 2 examples. All right, the slope for this one is -3, and then the y-intercept is 5. So y-intercept is 5, so this time I'm going all the way up to 5. That is where it crosses the y-axis. Now I'm going -3. So again, when it's just a whole number, just imagine there's a 1 underneath it, okay? So I'm going to go down 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, and then over 1. And then down 1, 2, 3, and then over 1. And then down 1, 2, 3, and then over 1. And again, I'm just getting some points. And so then I can connect these points together, and that gives me my graph for this equation, or for this function. All right. And the last one in this set, you have the slope is 1/2. The y-intercept is -3. So I'm going to start by graphing the y-intercept, which is -3. So it crosses the y-axis at -3. So I go here, make my dot. And then the slope is 1/2, positive 1/2. So I'm going up and then over 2. So up 1, over 2. Up 1, over 2. Up 1, over 2. And then that gives me, and then I just connect these, and that is going to show us our graph for that function. Okay. Now, guys, I know that that's a lot. And in the last set of problems, all we're doing is now we're just kind of going backwards. So we're going reverse. So this time I'm going to give you the graph, and you got to figure out what the slope is, what the y-intercept is, and what the equation is. But it's the same thing. We're just going backwards, starting with the graph this time. Okay. So again, I personally like to start by, again, I know what the y-intercept is. There's nothing I got to do to figure that out. So I'll start there. Start with 5, or I'm sorry, the 5 is where it crosses the y-axis. So the slope is going to be 5. I'm sorry, not the slope. The y-intercept is 5. That's where it crosses the y-axis. Now, to figure out the slope, what I got to do is I got to go from, from one point to the other. Again, this is what we did last lesson, is we start from one point, and then we go to another point, okay? So I'll start here and go to that one, all right? So to get to this one, again, I got to go to rise over run, okay? So I got to go down, 1, 2, and if I'm going down, that's a -2. So I go down 2 and then over 1, 2, 3. So my slope is -2/3, and the y-intercept is 5, which is where it crosses. So my equation would be y equals -2/3, which is my slope, x, and then the y-intercept is 5. All right. Let's look at another one. Okay. Again, I like to start by figuring out what the y-intercept is. The y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis, so it crosses at 4. So my y-intercept, my b, is going to be 4. My slope, now I have that one point. I just got to find where another point touches the line. So you could do this point, or you could do this point. It really doesn't matter which point you do. Okay. If you do a point further away, you might just have to end up reducing your slope. But it really doesn't matter. You're still going to end up with the correct answer. You just may have to reduce it. So I'm here and I go down 2. So down 1, down 2, and then over 1. So because I had to go down, that's a -2. And then I went down 2 over 1. So that's -2 over 1, or it's just -2 as the slope. Okay? And so to put this in slope form, we're going to put y equals, the slope is -2, x, and then the intercept is, the y-intercept is 4. All right? Y equals mx plus b is y equals -2x plus 4. Okay. Now, I know you have 2 more examples, but I'm going to stop here for the sake of this video not getting too long. And so I want you to take a minute to finish the next 2 examples, and then from there, I want you to raise your hand and allow me to come and check them, and then you can cut up your notes and glue them in your notebook. I hope this lesson has helped you understand how to, figure out what an equation is given the slope and the y-intercept, as well as being able to graph a function from y or for slope-intercept form.